All right, should be momentarily. Good evening, everyone. This is Rabbi Karen, and I thank you for joining us on this Tuesday Ma'ariv service. I hope you are safe and healthy. I know we've got extreme heat, we've got rain, we've got floods. The only thing we don't have are boils and locusts. But I hope you're all safe and sound and healthy. And I'm glad you're with us this evening on Sim Shalom, on Facebook, on YouTube. We're just all over the place. And welcome. And Albert out in somewhere, I guess, Facebook, welcome. I'm glad you were with us too. So let us begin our Ma'ariv service. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. By the way, on most of the pages that I created here, each rabbinic student has to create this Ma'ariv service. And so when I did mine, I did it in Hebrew. If there was enough room, I did it in transliteration and then English. So I'd love you all to be participating. Even though you're muted, you're participating wherever you are. Even Al could do this in the truck he's driving. And if you can't read Hebrew, you can read transliteration, or you could just recite it in English. Just, you're all part of this, and this is not my service, but this is our service. And now our call to praise. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai havarach li'olam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom our praises due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praises due now and forever. Let me see what's going on in this chat. Okay, I see everybody saying hello, so hello to everybody. We think of Adonai's blessing of separating light from dark and dark from light. I know I see that when I look at the gorgeous sunrises and the gorgeous sunsets. Right now, we have sun and we have heat in Florida, but we just always think of these blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma potech sha'arim, uvidbuna mishaneh etim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader kochavim b'mishmoroteiim barakia kirtzono. With wisdom you open gateways, with understanding you alter times. Vary the seasons and assign the stars to their watches in the sky. Okay, there we go. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshek v'choshek mipnei or. Umavir yom u'mevi layla. Umavdil ben yom u'vein layla. Adonai Sevaot Shemo. O living and ever-enduring God, reign over us forever and ever. Blessed are you, eternal God, eternal one who brings on twilight. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Everlasting love you offer your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And now the prayer that states who we are. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Baruch Shem Kivod malchuto leolam va'ed. Blessed be the name of his glorious kingdom, forever and ever. V'ahavta, and you shall love. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you rise up, and when you lie down. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy, holy unto your God. All right, let's take a pause for a moment. Let's check to see if anybody's on Restream. Okay, I see who we still have here. Okay, I see Roland and Barbara, Dee and Albert. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you can join us this evening. As I said earlier, I hope everybody is happy, healthy, well, staying cool, staying dry, staying unflooded. All right, let's get back to our services for the evening. And now iPhone Jean is joining us. So welcome, iPhone Jean. Mi chamocha ba'lim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, no ra tehilot osef eleh. As Miriam and the women went through the miracle of Adonai splitting the Red Sea, they sang this song, "Who is like you, O God, amongst the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God," they cried, "Adonai will reign forever and ever." Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praise to you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Eternal One, our God, cause us to lie down in peace and raise us up to life, our sovereign. Spread us over your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us for your name's sake. Shield us and remove from your path all hostility, disease, war, famine, and sorrow. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you are a protecting and saving power, truly a sovereign power. Gracious and compassionate are you. God, our going and our coming in life, now and for all eternity. Spread us over your shelter of peace. Baruch atah Adonai haporesh sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who spread your shelter of peace over us, over your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Okay, I see somebody has chatted with me. Okay, cool. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabba v'yamad yivrach yilutei v'yamlich mahutei b'chayechon uvyo umechon uvchayedecho beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimaru amen yeshmei rabba mevorach Li'olam li'olmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yiraman v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudusha b'richu leilam b'chol b'chata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damiram b'yalma v'yimaru amen. And now the prayer that we remind Adonai that our ancestors, our forefathers and foremothers, are mishpocha, and a promise made to them is a reminder, a promise made to us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibor v'hanora el elyon, Gomer hasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher hasdei avot v'imaot, u'mevii gula livnei v'neihem, l'man shemo ba'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. And now we are reminded that Gibor, strength, Givurah, strength. Adonai is the only strength we need, our only superhero, giving life to the living. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atarav lahoshia. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, Melech Memit, Kayem, Matzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah lahayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Today I am off key, and I thank you for putting up with me for that. Okay, let's go to Restream. Let's see who's on Restream. And Leo, thank you for joining us. Okay. Parsha Matot Masai. This Parsha begins with women and it ends with women. I always like to look at the Torah portion as almost an anthropological study. What was life going on? What was life like in those days? By the way, Sharon, I see you're in Mayopec. I hope you didn't have any flooding.
Not at our house, but around where I live.
Okay, my friend in Washingtonville said she didn't, nor her son in Mayopac. So that's all good. And Dee, my friend in upstate New York, I hope you didn't have any flooding either. Okay, so this is going to give us a chance to look objectively at what life was like then. Changes, but the more they stay, things stay the same. You know what they say. The more things stay the same. The more things change, the more things stay the same. Vows. It delineates the rights of women who make vows. Male head of the house can overrule decisions made by women of the house, be it a daughter, sister, or a wife. Let that register. The male head of a household can overrule decisions and vows made by the women in his household. Men's vows. Men can't go back on their word when making a vow to Adonai. Women make an oath. Her father hears of it, or husband, and has no objection. Then the vow stands. The father or the husband or the brother is given the right to annul that vow once they hear that. In relation to Kol Nidre, a Kol Nidre were absolved from vows made under duress. Both absolve. One is requested by the person who made the vow in Kol Nidre. The other is requested by somebody else. So why were women not allowed to absolve their own vows, but the male of the house can do it for them, whether they wanted to or not? Anybody want to gather a guess? Go ahead, Ellen.
There really weren't rights for women then. They were under, if they were still in the household of their father, they were still under the ruling, unless they were actually a widow. A widow.
Unless she has a son.
Yeah.
Or a brother.
But once she's a widow, doesn't she have the right? They can't.
I don't believe so.
Because unless the way I read it, it said one who was under her father's house, but once she was married, even if she came back, that I'm interpreting that, it doesn't say that.
Right. Well, this is all interpretive.
Yeah,
Let me dig a little bit on that, but
okay.
I think that
That's, yeah, maybe.
I think
maybe.
they would go to the nearest male relative. Okay, well, it gives us an idea of how women were viewed and how men were viewed. Daughters of Zelophehad. In the last parsha, the daughters approached requesting their inheritance of their father's land, since there were no sons, so women could not inherit. First time women made a demand. Okay, they approached Moses. It was granted by Adonai with no stipulations. The daughters are given the honor. Their names are listed 3 times in the Torah. These are the women who fought together for their rights: Mala, Tirzah, Meglah, Milcah, and Noah. As the children of Israel were approaching the promised land, the tribe Manasseh grew concerned that if the daughters married and their sons were to inherit the land that belonged to Zelophehad, that land would go to the tribe of the husband or the son. So here's the land that was set up for their tribe. But if the daughters married from the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, whichever tribe, any sons would inherit that land, it would go to the father's tribe. They felt this would violate divine command, as it was decreed which tribe would get which parcels of land. Let's recognize that as they are coming closer to the land, the division of it was foremost in the leaders' minds. So there was a compromise. The 5 women had to marry within their tribe. Any sons would still be members of that tribe. So they're in the tribe of Manasseh. They can marry anybody in the tribe of Manasseh. And if they have sons, the sons belong to the tribe of Manasseh. So the land stays in the tribe. They could marry any male in the tribe. No male relative could claim guardianship of the women or of the land. This was the conclusion of the book of Numbers. So here's the thought. Why would women not be held responsible for the vows they made? What was the view of women? Anybody gather a thought? People on YouTube can type in chat. Were women to be taken seriously? Ellen shaking her head.
No, they were not equal. They were not considered equal, especially under the law.
So therefore, a vow they made could be an emotional vow done without thought. And that's why the men who were supposedly the guardians of women can disavow the vows.
What about a Nazir? A woman could be a Nazir. Could the father?
I doubt she could take the vow.
No, they say, well, according
Yeah.
whatever Parsha in, it says
Yeah.
a woman or a man could be a Nazir.
Okay, and they have
But
to take a vow to be a Nazir.
Yeah, but given this portion, does it exclude a woman who lives in her father's house?
Rabbi Elias, you got any thoughts on it? I just woke him up. Unmute yourself, Rabbi.
You know, I've heard different opinions about whether women could be Nazir and also about what happened after becoming a widow. So I'm not sure I have an opinion on that yet.
I'm sure if the widow is the head of the house and there are no male relatives, then she's on her own until she marries again. But being a Nazir, she takes a vow to be a Nazir, but can she then make vows I am going to totally guess that the male ego would not allow women to make vows.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
totally.
well, makes sense. Yeah.
I'm just making a guess on this. This is not coming from anything that I've read. That's
Okay.
just
To check it out. Thank you.
okay. So how did the daughters of Zelophehad make great strides for women? Basically, these women did something for the first time. Joanne, you going to answer?
I'm sorry, I don't have any thoughts on it. I'm just wondering, I'm sitting here taking all this in, and, I'm thinking, I mean, how did this all happen? Why were women considered second-class citizens? I mean, and, even today, I mean, there's always been this struggle for women's rights. And I'm
Well-
wondering, where did this all begin?
Well, let's go further back.
Okay.
I can't say to what time in history. Let's just go back.
Okay.
Women were the nurturers of
Yes.
others.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Rabbi Steve was just texting me. And so therefore, they were busy with family. They were considered the weaker ones, whereas men were the hunters and gatherers.
Right.
So they had the physical strength. Yet, if you look at some tribes in history, they're matriarchal. Very few,
Mhm.
they're matriarchal. The women were considered the elders and the knowledgeable ones, but they were still also the ones who were the nurturers and, that maternal side, not the hunters and gatherers and the warriors.
Mhm.
So I think that the role that was had in society as societies were first forming, that it kept the women more at home and the men were out and able to make the decisions. I believe that it was more of a strength than of brain power.
More of the physical strength.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then later, when they created the rules,
Mhm.
who created the rules? The men.
Men. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you notice that it is considered that women are on a higher level in Judaism than men. But I have a problem with that because I believe they use that as a justification to keep women low.
Mhm.
Yet women could get a get.
Could I make a wild guess?
Go ahead. We're all making wild guesses. Go ahead.
Yeah. Could it be? I know it sounds weird. Could it go all the way back to Adam and Eve? That Eve is the one that gave Adam that stupid piece of fruit, and so it just kind of snowballed from there, and it kind of put a stigma on her. But the other thing is, if you look at the other way, women were nurturers. Maybe they weren't looked down upon as much as maybe we might think they were. Maybe they were held in a little greater esteem. The men were more protective of the women. So, I mean, maybe there's two ways of looking at it. But
Okay, well, in your Adam and Eve theory, I'm talking about humankind before religion. It wasn't an Adam and Eve story
yeah,
at this point, but going back to early society.
yeah.
Okay, when we first had, the little villages that grew up to be cities, and then the governments and all, women were just considered the weaker, the ones that needed protecting.
You're probably right.
When the men had to be hunters and gatherers and be gone for days and days, somebody had to be home with the kids.
But they had to protect the one when they were away, when the men were away. The women had to be able to protect the area. I think
Excuse me, You expect common sense to fall into this argument?
Oh, no, I don't, but I'm saying in practicality, the women were able to, they had to protect their children and the property if the men were out hunting. But it evolved because I think it really, if I remember my history.
Right, that's what I'm working on, world history.
Yeah, is that women were really more equal in terms of what was going on in the practical sense, early history. And then it started evolving, and women were put into a more lesser position, you want to call it, because men felt they were threatened or they felt they were weaker, whatever the reason. And I don't remember all my history, but I do think I remember that.
I also think a lot of it has to do with female physiology. And it became like a mystery, you know, well, men don't have a monthly cycle. Men can't give birth. So therefore it was like women, I don't want to say put on a pedestal, but put on a pedestal to be controlled. Because that was something that was so mysterious. I mean, today in science, you know, everybody knows what's going on, but I don't think it was quite understood then, and they were afraid of it, actually. You know, all the women during their monthly cycle had to be in a separate hut by themselves, you know, together. Men didn't want them around, considered unclean, you know, it was all that stigma. And I'm not saying it started in Judaism. I'm going much further back. So, Sapura. So, you know, I don't have a real answer as to the why. But I think my interpretation, it's a form of control. It was just to keep them in charge at all time and to not take away the power. I mean, you know, I watched these medieval films with King Henry VIII, and you know, it's just like, you know, the way they treated their own wives. And even the most peasant of a husband could treat a wife like that. So, all right, but the women of Zelophehad, the daughters, they got a portion of the inheritance. They actually, for the first time, got a portion, a women's right. It had certain conditions to it, but I mean, you think in this country, women couldn't inherit property and keep it until almost the 1900s. If a woman inherited property, when she got married, it became the husband's. And we're supposedly an enlightened society. So think about this. And, you know, I wasn't kidding when I said, we've come a long way, baby, which was the cigarette commercial from the 60s and 70s. But we have. I mean, look, women had more rights than most societies in Judaism going back, like the daughters, like getting a get. Conditions of a marriage were somewhat pro-female. Although, and there's a practical reason for it, a woman getting a get could not marry for 3 months. A man could walk out of the Bet Din and go get married. But that had to do with in case she was pregnant. You waited 3 months. If she wasn't pregnant, then fine. If she remarried right away, then whose baby is it? Of course, today we have all these tests and stuff like that, but nobody takes that into account of changing the laws anymore. You know, so there was a practical reason, yet it seems so unfair. So is there significance to this episode concluding the book of Numbers? Remember, book of Numbers is about the counting of the tribes. So the daughters of Zelophehad, why would this conclude the book of Numbers? Why is this appropriate? Anyone?
I think there's a change in the perception of the rights of women. as is ending this portion,
What does that have to do with numbers?
counting.
Okay. Let me go a step further if nobody else wants to jump in. They could marry within their tribe. So their sons would be considered still part of the tribe. So that added to the numbers of the tribe.
Okay.
So it's like an intermarriage kind of family, marrying your cousin, second cousin, twice removed, third cousin. Okay. But it's growing in the family. Okay. So let's go back to our services. Let's take a few minutes to listen to the prayers in our hearts and in our minds. Ose shalom bimrumav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Okay, we're going to begin our Mishabera prayer. So you'll write in all the names of the people who need our healing thoughts and prayers. And I'm going to begin with Sid and Joyce, Katie, Boomer, and Luna, Chris, Robin, Lisa's daughter, Ronnie, Seal's daughter, Rabbi Allison's daughter, Miriam Bat Shulamit, Carrie, daughter of Bonnie, Leslie, Mindalea Bat Chaya, Maxine, Marcia, Marlene Bat Sylvia, Bobby, George, Stu, David, Cantor Ovadia, Samantha, Judy, and Steve, and Toby. Okay. Erin, Maddie, Trey, Malcolm, Rose, Mayo, Izumi, Roxy, Max, and Albert. Let me add all the people who've been suffering in this heat and in the flooding. Erica in France, L&D, and all other cancer patients, all who are suffering physically and emotionally and spiritually around the world. Dorothy, Marlene, Bill, Robert, Jean, David, Grandma Franny, and all suffer from PTSD. Al's wife, Tracy, Ellen Freeman, Ziona, Rabbi Eliza's Granny Franny, who is home from the hospital after surgery and doing well. Amen to that. John Hall, Lefevre. You know what? Something is cutting off. Oh, there it is. Debador and Kara. Stephen, Georgette, Larice, Christina, Granny Franny, all who need healing. Douglas, Stephen, Robin, Ellen, Alan's wife, Marvin's brother, Rose Stearns and David Gregory, the Schoen family. By the way, Sharon, would that happen to be Eric Schoen in Yonkers? Oh, I know Eric from the Jewish Council of Yonkers when I lived there. So definitely for the Schoen family, all Sim Shalomers in need of refuah shlema. Sharon, this is a very small world. He's your cousin, and I know him for 20 years. That's very funny. Well, tell him I send my regards. Okay, so we have it. And Mr. Cotton. All right. Misheberach avotenu Mechol habraha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mechol habraha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Marvin, I didn't get a chance to hear. Do you want to give us the names of your people? If you unmute yourself.
Okay, Donald, Nelson Rispaldo. I think that's, and my brother.
Okay, thank you. And Bill Bot and Jenny Botwana. Okay. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kikoye haratzot, v'lo samanu kimishpuchot hadama, shelo sam helkenu kohem, v'gor aleinu kicho hamanam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'eman v'haya Adonai lemelech ha'oretz, Vayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. We recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. The memories of all of them are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we praise God and pray for the coming of Adonai's kingdom. Yitgadal v'chadash shemei rabbah, b'yamad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yumechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'galav azman kariv yimru amen. Yesh me rabba mivorak li'lamo me'amaya. Yit barak v'yishtabak v'yipar v'yiraman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei d'gudusha b'richu. Le'ilam b'kol b'chata v'shirata. Tushb'chata v'nechamata. Tamiram v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yesh lama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mumav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, Yirmu Amen. May all those who are in mourning be comforted by the one who comforts all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. I want to first thank Rabbi Blaine, who helped with the technical difficulties. I want to thank Rabbi Elias for being a wonderful co-host and co-rabbi. I want to thank you all for being here. I just want you all to be happy, safe, healthy. Have a wonderful week. I'm so glad that you are here with us. Dee, my love to the family, everybody who's on the website, on the chat, who's sitting in front of me on Zoom. High holiday tickets. Check our Sim Shalom page. We're starting to sell the high holiday tickets. I can't believe it's, I guess I should be planning a dinner soon.
Yeah.
I'll go start looking.
Toda Rabba, Rabbi Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm going to start looking at my briskets.
Yeah, before you turn around, it'll be here.
Starting to work on that, I guess. You know, it's hurricane season. We don't plan too quickly, but yes, I guess I got to. All right. So again, be well. Think about, we got upcoming rabbinic classes. We're hoping for a J-Leap class for our Everything You Want to Know About Judaism class, our cantorial class. So please look at it. Check us out. We're here for you. Be well, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.